let those hips follow to the ball. Bring the hips down with you. There you go. Good. A little bit slower. There you go. Good. 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 You're okay. You're still here. Progress. Are you doing exercises that are just too hard for your core? Like this guy? If you're going to do a rollout and you got excessive curvature in your lower back, all that pressure is going right to your spine. This week, we're going to talk about the proper progressions for the core, how you go from creating a good bracing, how you move with that bracing, and eventually how you can progress to tougher exercises like the rollout here. But for now, it looks like these exercises just aren't in your wheelhouse. Now, before we do anything else, we want to make sure we can brace the core properly before we start adding any type of movement to it. So 3 exercises in order to do that are the single leg crunch, the pelvic tilt, and the bird dog. So with the single leg crunch, we're going to have one leg straight out. We're going to try to keep that back relatively close to the floor, and all we're going to do is press those hands to the ceiling and try to grab the ceiling tiles, squeezing the upper abs into the lower abs. Obviously, Coach Jack should do a couple more of these every time he comes into the gym because he's shaking a little bit, so he lacks a little bit of core stability. The next exercise, the pelvic tilt, we're going to bend the knees to 90 degrees, and we're going to work on arching the lower back through the hips and pressing the lower back down into the ground through the hips. Keep the upper body relaxed, focus on the movement here, because ultimately your hips control what your core does. The last one is going to be the bird dog, and here's how we control a little bit of the rotational component. You want to pretend that you're balancing a glass of wine on your back, extending the opposite arm and leg out at the same time, and then returning to the ground at the same time. We're not going to overextend our back as we do this, okay? And we're not going to reach the arm and leg too high in the air. We're just going to lift them off the ground ever so slightly, and our focus is not to shift back and forth and not to overextend that back. Selfie stick time. So now, once you know how to brace the core properly and keep your hips in line, we're going to go to a front-loaded carry where we're practicing that bracing, keeping the ribs over the hips. Well, we're doing pretty good. Keeping the ribs over the hips and making sure we keep that alignment between the shoulder, hip, and the knee. Okay? Now, we're going to flip around, and we're going to hit a farmer's carry. Farmer's carry is similar to that bird dog component, okay? Focusing on not letting the hips rotate, keeping the shoulder blades pressed down and back, keeping them secure, and still working on that bracing in the core. All right, now we're going to drop one kettlebell, and we're going to go into a suitcase carry. Suitcase carry is a great exercise for that unilateral stability, getting that weight shift from one side to the other. Focus on walking in a straight line, still keeping that shoulder blade down and back, still keeping that core brace tight. Why don't you go a little bit that way?
All right.
Here we go.
It's a long time to get set.
All right. Ready?
Good?
Now, once you're able to do those exercises, you're ready for more direct core work like the plank. Planks are great exercises because we teach our body how to hold ourselves in a stiff position and resist any type of movement. We can do a front plank, and we can also progress it and make it a little bit more difficult by moving our arms or our legs, just like Jack is doing it. Jack, you're actually doing a really good job. Now, if the plank is just a little bit too hard for you, something similar like the kneeling plank, where we take a little bit of pressure off our core, still train getting the head, shoulder, and hips in a straight line without the pressure of our entire body being on top of it. We can also do this with the side plank. If we flip over, squeezing our shoulder blades back, lifting our hips up, and squeezing our butt forward, again, to get that nice straight line between the head, shoulders, and hips, training the obliques for resisting that flexion of the core. It's okay. It's okay.
It's not okay. All right? I just can't do it.
It's all right. It's all right. Now, once you're able to isometrically train your core more directly, we're going to work on training the core more dynamically. Great way to do this is with our leg drop drill. Brace the core, take a deep breath in, drop one leg to the floor, making sure that the lower back doesn't arch off the ground and raise back to the top. Once we do both legs, breathe out, reset, and hit it again. If that's easy, we progress to 2 legs. If that's still too easy, we progress to straightening the legs out past 90 degrees, to make it a little bit tougher. Once you're able to do that, you know how to move your legs or your arms in a great position to keep the core tight, and you can progress back to our rollout. All right, Jackie, let's retrain that rollout. Let's see how we do. You got this. Come on. Brace the core, squeeze the butt, reach out, boom, shoulder, head, hips, all on a straight line. And you can make this more difficult by lowering the ball, doing it on a suspension trainer, or even using the ab wheel or a barbell. Just make sure as we're doing it, we're looking to flex the shoulder all the way, stretch the shoulder blade to the top, and then pull back under control. All right.